Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Fosco with American News Post. We're doing today's podcast for Monday, August the 26th, 2013. Today's show is going to be a little different than what our usual program calls for because we have a couple of different guests in the studio today. And our host and co-host are certainly with us, Mr. Michael Magnafichi.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing?
And Mr. Frank Coconate.
Hello.
And our two special guests today is Mr. Tony Portillo.
Hello.
And Mr. Joe Celozzi.
How are you?
And for those of you, I don't believe either of these two gentlemen need any further introduction, but I will just inform you that Mr. Portillo is with the family that is the son of the owner of Portillo's hot dog stand, and Mr. Joe Celozzi is the son of where you always save more money, Nick Celozzi. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
How come I never save more money from them?
How come?
I'm his good friend.
Michael?
I'm teasing. That's just the ball bust.
Because
Joseph is my dear friend forever. Joseph is my friend from a dear...
Yeah, sure.
He's my dear friend for a long time.
Right.
I'm just making a...
All right, what's going on in sports? Let's get down to business.
Yeah, let's get down to business. Well, you know, your Sox have seemed to take the tumble once again.
My Cubs. I don't like the Sox, remember that?
I know, that's another ball bust. I got to stop the ball busting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cubs, which are my team, they have taken the plunge. And, you know, Frank, I don't understand.
Well,
I know that.
You have this 7-year plan going on with the Cubs.
Well, Epstein, he does have a plan. And I'm not ready to give up on him. I'm not ready to give up on the fact that I think that what he has in mind is not... You know, here's a guy that built Boston. You know, they didn't win a World Series, from 1918?
Yeah.
1908?
They were second to the Cubs.
Second to the Cubs that did not win a World Series for that quite. And then he won a World Series when they were down 3-0, and they came back and won 4 games. You know, now that's not the UFC. That's the players.
Right,
win
definitely. I mean,
championships.
they had a hell of a team, and the manager was good. And
You play for your manager. You play for your GM. You know, and here's a GM that, you know what? As a Cub fan, which I am like you, I am a Cub fan.
Yeah.
And I'm not an anti-Sox fan. I don't dislike the Sox. I'm a Chicago fan.
Right.
So if my Cubs aren't in it and the Sox are in it, I'm cheering for the Cubs. Cheering for the Sox. Excuse me. Why wouldn't I?
What's going on right now is, I don't know how much Cub fans are tolerating or how patient they're going to be with this Epstein.
You have to have a lot
of patience.
Are you a Cub fan?
Absolutely.
Joe
Actually, we had 7 Cub players driving our demos at one time.
Joe Celozzi Edelson, he had Bears players. Tell him who you had.
I had Joe Girardi, Les Lancaster, Mike Bilecki, Jerome Walton, Lloyd McClendon, and I think that's it, one other player, I don't remember, all driving our demos all in a year or two. So I had like 20-something tickets every game.
How many Bear players, Joe?
I had 15 Bear players. Kevin Butler, Mark Bortz, Denal Wolford, Maury Buford, Jim McMahon, Wendell Davis, Richard Dent, and a few other, Barry Minter, Curtis Enos.
Wow, those are guys I can't even think of. I'm surprised he could think of.
Richard Dent.
Well, he was
But Kevin Butler.
Richard Dent was the
Kevin Butler,
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Kevin Butler the longest. Butthead was the best.
Right.
And Mark Bortz. Bortz and Butler were the longest. Everybody else is 1 or 2 years in and out. Yeah.
Joe, that's pretty.
Ladies and gentlemen, what I meant to say in the opening of this conversation, we're doing the show a little different today. We're gonna. It's a round table, or what was the word you used, Joe?
Well, you got different
to describe it.
Well, you're bringing in other
personalities.
Yeah, personalities.
Genres.
Yeah.
And Tony, what did you use? What word did you use to describe it?
A pre-mail before we
Yeah.
on the radio. That's what we typically do.
Well, we're putting that all in
Right,
on the
right.
tape
We're
today.
live, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're not practicing,
So
this is all.
we're going to do the
Let
sports.
Tony explain.
The sports and the behind the scene is sort of all in one
Well,
today.
they were involved in the sport. Your dad and you, didn't you guys have sports guys?
We had a few. Dan Hampton, the fridge.
The fridge.
Yeah,
The
boy, the
fridge.
guy probably ate more.
Man, he was, no, I loved him. I
loved
thought,
him
you know
too,
what, a
sure.
guy, Tony, to be honest with you, a guy that had like really, very minimal talent,
Right.
you know,
Minimal
but
talent. He was fast, he could jump.
He could actually
I know,
slam
I-
dunk a
I-
ball.
I- I saw him, you know.
Talent.
Joe, I
He's
saw him,
crazy.
Tony saw, we all saw him, I saw him jump onto the table.
This guy
I
was
saw him
fast.
do that.
He
I
was
saw
an-
that,
he was
but
an-
he
he
was
was
a
an-
he was an
talent
athlete.
Yeah.
as far as, you
Now,
know.
what was your question of Tony?
Well, I'm saying that.
I'm not clear on it.
We all jumped on
I'm
Mike.
sorry.
He used to that.
I got off the
Beaten
you know,
path.
I got off
that's
the beaten path, you know, going onto the fridge. But I was saying that Tony and his, you know, with Portillo State had a ton of guys that were representatives.
Sure, they all
of that.
eat. They eat beef,
Yeah, they
hot
eat.
dogs,
Oh,
ribs.
yeah,
probably
who would,
even-
you know, who would they want to represent?
Right.
You know, get the best stuff in the world, you know. For
Did you ever meet any of these guys? Did you ever meet?
Yeah. Yes, in particular, Dan Hampton was a very good friend of mine.
Good guy.
Yeah, I got some stories that
5 DUIs.
probably stay.
That'll be off
Joe,
the record.
that might be edited out.
Joe's gonna have
We
to-
don't want, 'cause
Mr.
Dan
Fox
Hampton,
is gonna have to
I don't-
call a
we
lawyer
don't
on
need Dan
that.
Hampton coming to beat our brains.
Okay.
I'm sure he's still big enough to hurt us. Oh
Is
my
he
God.
is he as down to earth as he sounds on radio? He's got a
He's a great individual. He's huge. You know, he had 13 knee operations. They put
Yeah,
on each
right,
knee, I think,
right,
or something like
right.
that. So he
Right.
he was beat up
He's
pretty
beat
bad.
up. I mean, he has just, you know, things happen to him while he's sleeping that are correct. You know, it's
Yeah.
just, you know, the thing is about the guys in the '80s. They were lucky to walk away with $8 million of their whole career. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Sure.
Right, you're right.
And
Tony.
then after you pay taxes,
Right.
I mean, these guys, you know, have the
Walked
money.
away
Like
with-
Urlacher,
Right.
look what he's walked away with.
Yeah.
And I know Casey Urlacher. I met Brian several times. Casey I know personally, and that's his brother. Looks just like him. And you know, it's
Does he look
sad.
just like him, Urlacher?
Yes. Oh yeah. Casey, we could talk to him anytime we want.
No,
Let's call him
did he
right
run for mayor or something in it? The small
No.
town.
You want to
That was,
call? You want to call Casey and put him on speaker
that was
just to say
Mongo.
hi to everyone on the
That was
show?
now. If I could do it.
If you could reach him, maybe.
Oh, that's right.
he's not in the shower.
McMichael.
Yeah,
maybe.
All
right, sure.
Or whatever.
Right.
And if he can't
You know,
do it, we
Yeah,
understand.
no, it's not. I'm
You
gonna
know,
arrange that.
Tony
Yeah,
has, like Joseph, they both had this, you know, abundance of, you know, communication with these
Well, these
people.
guys
forgot.
had huge businesses in Chicago.
Trace
I mean,
Armstrong, too. We had him, too.
We
Trace.
also,
Where he went to Florida.
I liked him
Yeah.
too. I liked
And
him.
Jim Harborough actually came to the autograph signing at the dealership. And he didn't even drive our car, but he came. We're friends with Butler.
That's
How
funny.
much money would it cost you guys to give these cars away?
Well, here's the deal.
Joe?
Here's the deal.
I mean, or usage of the cars.
All dealers, you know, there's dealers giving cars now to bird players.
Mhm.
It's 4 tickets a game.
I see.
You get a parking pass and a stadium club pass, a little room with
But
a
that's
bar.
for you to give them the car.
Right,
You
so
get
listen,
that.
listen. They
Go ahead.
get 4 tickets, I get 4 tickets, but they can only drive my car. It's for 1 year, and they have to do 1 autograph signing and 1 charity. That's the
it.
deal, for 1 year. If they get hurt, they get the car. Wendell Davis, I signed him up, he blew his knees out on Monday Night Football. And he was 1 month of a
Right,
demo.
totally.
I had to give him the car.
So that
Absolutely.
means
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
stuck with him, good or bad, unless they get traded.
Oh, wow.
Like when Jim McMahon got traded, he called me up. He says, your Cadillac's sitting on 294. Come pick it up. Well, I don't want to get into all that.
Now, what did you would lend them the
Yeah,
car?
we are.
They wouldn't get the titles.
No. They would use it.
And how for how long? For the whole
Joe.
season?
Yeah, for the whole season.
what would be the purpose of that? Just,
I put their pictures in the paper. They do all the promo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they did all.
From
Yeah,
Why
they
would
mentioned
you
you.
do it?
They mentioned
You
you all
know?
the time. And then it was good PR. Kevin Butler was the best.
Mhm.
Butler and Bortz, they actually bought cars from us. They do buy cars.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, but in the day, man, the Celozzi Edelson
Yeah.
was known all over.
well, we had in the
Oh.
Hawks. I had the great Dennis Savard.
It was
Sam Makita for 10 years.
What role, if any, did Sam Giancana play in the success of your
Oh.
father's car dealership?
Yeah, that's nice. Well, that was my thanks a lot for that question.
Right.
Hey, you all knew that was coming.
Now, you're a relation to him.
Yeah, that's my grandma's brother. My mother's brother.
Wow.
You guys all know that. My brother Nick.
Well,
my
the
brother
viewers
Nick.
don't know it. A lot
Yeah,
of
well, my
viewers
brother
don't.
Nick Celozzi did the documentary on him last year, Joe. You read it's all in the newspaper.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
documentary.
and it's they got the daughters, not Annette, the other daughters, to put their blessing on it, and they got information.
Why did you emphasize not Annette?
Because Annette didn't want to be part of it, and my brother didn't want her part of it. Because
But
she's sold the story 10 times.
She's overdone.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
She's history.
Is
Right.
that the older Gene?
And I don't think she gets along with
Right,
our
yeah.
family. I don't think she gets along with our family. My mother's her cousin, first cousin.
Nicky,
Yeah, wow.
one thing Nicky does, and Nicky, his brother, is a very dear friend of mine. And what Nicky does
Yeah.
is he tells the legit shit. Excuse my language, but Nicky does.
The
And
true
Nicky
story.
would
The
never,
true story.
He tells the true story. Nicky would never put out anything that wasn't
Listen,
the
Mike,
legit stuff.
Mike, her
That's how
father,
Nicky is.
Sam Giancana, barely talked to Annette because she left all her children with the father. 4
Okay.
children, all the boys, and she ran off with somebody.
5
boys.
children. 5 boys.
Right. Ran off with somebody, and the father, Mooney, was pissed off over it. So their relationship, at best, the last years were shit.
I'm sorry to hear that.
He had the same
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so the moral of the story is, you know.
Well, she made some money off him, I'll tell you
Well,
that.
yeah, they made money.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they made money, but you know, getting all that, people thought that Sam, because my dad, when my mother married, my dad married my mother, it was in '57. My dad had to get approval from Sam Giancana. She brought him to Sam's house, and Sam goes, "You're gonna get married here. The cake is here, the flowers are here, and you get the diamond ring. My brother Pepe's gonna get it for you." And my dad said, "Okay." And then he says, "Listen to this. Do you know who I am?" My dad said, "No." He said, "Here, if you got to use my name, you can use my name." He said, "What do you do for a living?" My dad said, "I'm a car salesman." My dad was 23, 24.
Right.
He didn't want to be bothered with
He goes
that.
like this.
Right.
How about a job with the union, projection? All my uncles and relatives are all projection.
God.
My dad said, "No, I'll,
Stick with the
yeah," and
car.
I told you the
Hey,
story.
Frangucci, he didn't want to be bothered with that.
I would take
Wait,
those jobs.
Mike,
Those are
Mike,
great
Mike,
jobs.
Mike,
Projection.
But
Mike,
you're locked in a booth.
listen.
What fun is that? You know?
Listen, I told you the story, what happened a year later, Joe. Hey, Mike, pay attention.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please. This is my one and only shot here. I like this program. Unless Joe asks me back.
Joe,
Pay attention.
Joe, I'm a bird with a broken wing.
Oh,
Don't
please.
you fly.
Yeah, okay. I
And
know.
don't you be the one I fly.
Don't let me call my great
Michael Mack.
Let me call my great uncle from the grave. Let me tell you the story. This is
Go ahead, I'm
important.
listening. Now that
Okay.
you hollered at me and
Yeah.
I've knuckled down to you. Go
Oh,
ahead,
yeah,
sir.
sure. I don't believe that.
Okay.
All right. After about a year, my dad gets married, right? He's at a fundraiser for Ford. He sold cars. Well, everybody's in tuxedos, and a guy's swearing behind my dad. My dad says, "Sir, please, there's women here." Of course, right? A minute later, my dad said, "Sir, you keep swearing. I told you, the next time you swear, I'm going to hit you." My dad turns around. Guy take a bottle, hit my dad. The guy goes, "Nick, turn around." My dad grabs the bottle and punches the guy. They get in a fight. Now they arrest my dad and this guy. The police came. They're walking both out.
What town was this?
Chicago,
Okay, yes.
right? And my dad's in a tuxedo. The dinner just started.
Right.
And he goes, my dad goes, "My uncle would be very happy right now." The guy goes, "Your uncle? Who's your uncle?" He goes, "Sam Giancana." He goes, "Holy shit! Why'd you tell me this?" He goes, he took the handcuffs off on him, and the other
The
guy,
copper, right?
The copper goes, "Oh my God, that's Mooney's nephew."
Yeah.
And then the other guy goes, "What's going on over there?" They start punching the other guy. "Shut up!" And
Hey,
they arrest him.
Chicago Spider.
Yeah, this is in 1957.
Yeah.
So it told you how much power that guy had. Here's a little
Mooney was
detective
a
in
king.
Chicago. And the guy goes, he looked at him, my dad said his face turned white.
Yeah.
"Oh my God."
Now, Joe, do you think we have to go to the behind the scenes, or have we already
No,
started that?
well,
I think we've already started.
I think we're just
Well,
like
I-
an open forum.
I
I
think
think it was just open for.
Joe
I
said
think
it'd be
I-
different. Joe
yeah,
said it'd be different
I
today.
made that
Yeah.
distinction
Yeah.
earlier in the show.
Joseph,
I think you were
think
going
what
through
you
your
were saying,
phone
It's just absolutely
at the
beautiful.
time.
I love, this guy here. He's very intelligent.
Did you ever meet Giancana?
No,
No.
I was way too young. I was.
Yeah.
I was.
Oh,
I was
You're
a-
what, 28 now?
Hey,
What
by
are
the
you,
way,
28?
you know what he
His
gave?
mom, his mother, who is the most. I mean, I call her
That
mom.
thought.
Yeah.
I refer to her as a mom.
Yeah.
I do when I go. "Hey, Mom, what's up?" And it's like so, like not even like a big deal, like
Right.
like a fake-o thing.
Right.
I hug and kiss her and say, "Hey,
And
Mom,
then he's got
what's
his
up?"
hands in her pocket. No. I'm sorry.
You mean not like the usual when the
Yeah.
when the alpha guys
Yeah,
kiss each other?
Instead of her turning around and, no, I'm just,
No.
See,
joking.
Joe
She loves, see how he...
He turned a beautiful story into
Turned a
something.
beautiful story
Into a
I'd be thrilled.
You know what, I can't
You know
stand
what?
the sensitive side to him, it's nauseating.
Because
Yeah.
the sensitive side of me
Yeah.
is nauseous.
Because that's not your-
because it's the truth. I do love her, and I love his mother. She is my mom.
She's a great person,
And
obviously.
she's done a million things for me.
How many relatives did Mooney have? I mean, just
A lot
a
of them.
sister? or-
Well, no, he had the daughters, and then he
I'm
had,
talking about-
brothers. Here, remember,
I'm
his
getting
mother,
blood.
no,
Yeah.
listen, no. His mother died at birth, okay? The
Right.
father married, there's two
Wait,
children,
excuse me. His mother died at
Yeah.
whose birth?
right after he was born, a couple of years.
It's in a book.
Right,
right,
she got
right.
married, the father married again, had children. Now, she had previous children, plus children with him. So there's half-brothers, there's two full, so there's like
Yeah.
5 or 6 of them, yeah.
She died, like
Peppy?
she died like of hepatitis or something.
No, it was weird.
Yeah,
it was,
she
he was
went into the
young,
hospital,
2 years
yeah.
old, I think he was.
So there's Peppy, his brother Peppy.
Peppy, right.
And who else?
Then there's this there's Josephine, Mary, my grandmother,
Right.
the sister married Francine.
Did he have a brother? He had a brother, Peppy. And
Peppy,
any
half
other
brother.
brothers?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Now, who's the father of Sam Giancana, the other Sam Giancana, the author?
Oh, that's the Godfather. That's the nephew. He's a Godfather, I think.
A godfather.
Yeah, that's like a cousin or something.
A
I know
cousin.
what you're talking about.
Oh, I see.
He
They-
changed his name actually. I
That
think.
Giancana, he built an empire
Yeah.
that they're still making money from.
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you what. In the 50s, the average wedding gift was what, $5, $3, Joe?
Yeah.
He gave $1,000 to my
Yeah.
dad, and each guy gave $100.
Yeah.
It's big
And
money.
his brother poured the liquor.
What year was this again?
57. You know that his
57?
brother, well, the year my mother got married, my mom and dad, and his brother, he brought the liquor. He didn't want anybody pouring the liquor for him. He didn't trust anybody.
Why, they think
So,
that's poison?
right, whatever. The brother had the liquor, and he stood there peppy and gave him the liquor.
You remember where they got married at? Or?
Yeah, it was at the athletic club, I think.
Mm.
What was it called?
Oh, the one downtown?
Yeah.
All
What is
right.
some?
North Shore?
I don't know.
Sports club.
There's
It
a
was
few,
his.
a few different athletic
He
clubs.
he was connected to it.
How about, did you know Jackie Cerrone at all?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, through Michael.
I dated his daughter for many, many years.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, I
He
talked to her.
dated Carla, the granddaughter.
Oh, the
Yeah, I
granddaughter.
talked to
He dated the granddaughter. They were going to be, Tony and Carla were going, they were engaged to be engaged.
Jackie Cerrone's son's daughter.
Jackie Cerrone, no, Opie
No,
and Jackie
no.
Cerrone's
Granddaughter.
granddaughter.
Right.
Yeah, son's
Tony,
daughter.
they were
Frank
engaged
got it
to
right.
be engaged.
How long did you date?
Oh, years. She's a feisty girl, but beautiful. Beautiful.
She is a
Yeah.
beautiful
She's
Yeah.
a wonderfully looking.
Not one you
good-looking
wanna-
girl.
To
That's
kick
what-
off because there's a whole
Well,
following
sure.
that just
Right. 4 girls, they're all
You
beautiful.
find me,
When I-
you
when
find
I-
me somewhere in Indiana.
Yeah,
I started. I
Right.
was acquainted with Tony like actually before that, but not like acquainted good. With the minute he got to where he where he was dating Carla, and this was a situation.
This guy tells us.
I was.
Yeah.
I loved Tony to death.
Right.
I thought that he was, great for Carla. And Carla was my God. To describe Carla, she is one of the most beautiful girls, right or wrong,
Bar none.
bar none,
Bar none.
the most
Just
beautiful girls I ever saw in my life.
Mhm.
And nice.
Better looking than Tina?
But my girl Tina,
Yeah.
well,
I
obviously
thought
I
she was
can't say that.
beautiful.
Tina's the most beautiful.
All right.
Does Tina listen to the show?
All right. She will
She
now.
will be. But you know what? Tina doesn't have to listen to know that Tina is the most beautiful.
Absolutely.
She's the most beautiful girl
I'm
in my life.
surprised.
Being
a wise guy.
and Carla is a close. Carla's 1A, Tina's 1, and Carla's a 1A.
But you know,
And
it's
that's
the
what I
prettiest.
do.
She had a good heart.
Good heart.
Even
I mean,
the
what?
outsides, man, she was just a 10. And I remember one time we were in Las Vegas with my dad, and my dad was there with his grandparents, and Carla insisted on holding my grandmother's arm.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And that just shows
But
class.
she probably
Yeah.
respected.
Class.
Very respectful girl.
You know?
She came up from a good family, and he was a guy that Tony was a guy that he loved her, and I still wish the fuck they were together because you know what. It would. I'd love to be.
Well,
rather
I
than
think
coming
we
to
could-
Tony's beautiful
Michael,
home here.
Right.
Michael, I think we could agree that Carla's mother, Judy, raised her children very well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I guess her husband
He
played
was a little busy.
he played he was too busy to really get any of the credit for it, but
Yeah.
We said it really busy.
busy raising a lot of
You know,
other families.
Joe, actually, I've known Tony for years, but Michael's the one put us together
Yeah,
years
sure.
ago. Yeah, through Michael.
Right.
We know each
I know
other.
Tony. I know Tony.
Isn't that funny?
Through that, and Frank, and Joe, to be honest with you, I wish that relationship would have, solidified. I wish it
Who
would have.
stopped it? The
Well,
families?
it was just between them.
Yeah,
it
things
was
were getting a little
between them.
volatile, and I was very uncomfortable. And,
Right. It was
and
nothing.
I literally got out with one shoe on my foot, the other shoe was caught in the door. She shut all my toes hurt in there. I said, I cut that as a loss, man.
But I mean, and he's
No,
always.
literally one shoe on my door.
That's
Literally
love.
not messing with me, man.
Did you at least leave her a Portillo
Tony
shirt?
has always explained it to me as the fact that he loved her to death.
I've always loved her.
And he still does. He
Yeah.
does. He has a certain,
Just called
there's
me
a certain
right
part of
today.
his heart.
Oh, you talked to her as recent as today.
As you guys were walking in.
That was-
Oh, you did?
It was right.
What's what you guys love?
She is.
No.
Well, I mean, because
I've had a bad
Carla is
situation,
the most,
Mike.
she's the most beautiful girl in
You're
the
the
world.
best.
Yeah, my wife left me. Walk left me with 4 kids. I raised them all myself. You know the situation,
No.
okay? And I was trying to do Elvis.
Okay, you
I was,
want to
no,
sit there and get
I was
Elvis?
back impersonating Elvis again.
Oh,
Look what
that's
happened.
right,
Yeah.
When
right.
did
You want to
start-
get the woe is me? My wife got shot in the head
No.
by a man.
Wait, that's not funny.
And what
But
do real
that-
men do?
that was a
They
big
go
deal.
for it.
The
They
reason
figured
why
them out.
the reason why she got shot because she told him right before he pulled the gun, said, "Call your father Michael."
Told my son, yeah.
Told your son that.
He'll
So he
break
figured he
your
was
head
gonna
open.
whack anyways. Okay?
Right.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Well, yeah, you're right.
And we've all had
And
bad
he did
parents.
it,
I'm going through
And
a
Joe,
horrible
what he
right now.
did,
Horrible.
Joe Fosco,
Yeah.
what he did was,
Wrong.
he pulled a pussy ass shot on her. He, did one of those.
Why?
Who did? I did?
Oh, no, not you.
The coward, the guy that
Oh, the killer. Or
Joe
the
his
would-be
name was
killer.
Joe too. There's a lot of Joes here. Joe Frastacci was the guy that pulled the gun. Not Joe Fosco, not Joe Celozzi. None of those Joes. This Joe pulled the trigger and fired at
Fired right at her.
my ex-wife. And
Straight
he-
point blank, right.
Point blank, but he did he.
And the cops thought it was you. They thought that you made him kill him.
Had
Remember
the
that?
same
They
color.
investigated.
Really?
They investigated.
Another Celozzi thing, that I had one of your trucks.
Yeah.
I had
So when you were speeding down the...
Eddie Bauer white truck.
Oh, yeah, the
That's
one you
what
bought
he
from
had.
From the always,
And he had a
what's
Cherokee.
it called?
We always
He had a
save
white
more
More
money.
money. He had one of your
He had a
trucks.
white
lot for
Cherokee,
him,
and
man.
now he's shooting out of the car like a
No
maniac.
demo. He bought the truck.
Oh, he
What,
bought
now-
it.
I bought it.
Speaking of demos, wasn't your father driving
Yeah.
one of his demos
Yeah.
around the time the Splatros got killed?
It's in the Calabrese book, Family Secret.
It is, really?
Yeah, it's in there. That slows it
Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, it's in the book. Yeah.
What's in the book?
Mike!
I give him a car to use because his car's in for service, and they're out whacking people with it. That's
Mike,
ridiculous.
Is that right?
It's in Family Secret.
Mike's going to the washroom right now.
Mike, is
I have
that
to
right?
pee.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Did you really?
You know what?
Isn't
it family secret?
Yes, it's a family secret.
No kidding.
Yeah. Also, when they were trying to kill Spilatros, Spilatros driving our demo, and they kept saying they saw dealer plates. Celozzi, it's in the book. Celozzi
Did you
plate.
know that?
It's in there.
Frankie Calabrese.
I love
talks
Frankie.
well of you guys.
I love
mean,
Frankie.
he
Let me
talks-
tell you, we're not talking about Frankie.
No.
I love Frankie, and I got no problem writing the book. Frankie came and saw me with Elvis like you.
Yeah.
I was doing Elvis Presley back in the 90s. He came up there, drove to Chicago Heights. All you guys did.
I said, where we going?
Frankie-
Where we going? To Kentucky to
he
watch
was a
this
good
guy?
salesman. Guy's a nice guy. He's a gentleman. I got no problem with him.
Yeah.
He looks old now. I mean, I look at her. Look at
Why did you see him in
Well, he's
Facebook?
on interview. He's on. They had a big thing last on.
Oh, really?
On cable.
Mm.
Yeah, about a 30-minute thing about his dad, reenactment. About
Right.
his dad beating him and all this stuff.
Right.
And they're doing a movie now on him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
how
well,
far along is the movie?
yeah.
Do you
I
know?
have the
No,
original
they're in
script.
pre-production.
I
Yeah.
have the original script.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Do you really?
I have a $500 bill that they found in his wall here in Oprah.
Oh, is that
Who's
I
right?
got one in my
Oh, great.
Calabrese, right?
Yeah.
No kidding. You have one of the
I have the original one. And ever since then, that's when my wife left me and I was in seizures.
Like bad
comas,
luck,
strokes,
right?
Just a huge, horrible luck.
yeah.
I've been married for 1.5
He had
years.
$1,000 bills too, didn't they? That they were.
Yeah, I
selling?
couldn't get any of those. Those
Yeah.
already left, otherwise I would
Would
have
they
got
have an auction with that?
They just somehow disappeared. I don't know,
Yeah, right.
vanished.
Yeah, right.
But I got my hands on one of them.
Did you ever meet Calabrese, or?
I probably did back in the 80s, because
Yeah.
Johnny Credidios, Junior is one of my best friends, actually stood at my wedding.
Right. Credidio does all the films here.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was my best
Anytime they
man
do
in my
filming
wedding.
here, right?
Right.
You're not related to him, are you?
No, but my dad could invested in that back when they opened up originally.
Yeah.
They came to my dad, and there was an investment group. My dad's seen all the names, and my dad wasn't into
It was in particular.
Yeah.
Because your dad made his own money.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well,
Did
I don't wanna
did you or your Tony? Did you or
Well,
your
with
father
Credidio
ever
or-
Yeah.
invest in the group
yeah,
with
some other
Credidio?
names.
Yeah.
No,
You know, we've got a couple of conversations going on right now, guys.
Oh,
Let's
sorry.
try to keep it to
All
one.
right.
I'm sorry.
No, there was some opportunity because there was a low time there when the movies weren't, the unions were chasing them out of Chicago first of all, and there's an issue there.
Yeah.
Mr. C was trying to, he ran for a union president. I believe he should have.
Mr. C, who you?
Mr. Credidio.
Oh, yeah.
John Sr.,
right.
I believe he's more than qualified. I believe he would have brought more action to the city, a lot more business. Of course, there's tax breaks, but there's also, they'll be paying a lot of taxes.
A lot of money coming in.
A lot of money coming in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's why everybody's going up to Canada right now, because they don't have to, it's cheaper for them.
Right, exactly.
You get 30% of your budget back.
They chased a lot of people out of Chicago.
That's
true.
it.
Was this over remember they were supposed to get a loan on Chicago Avenue to build a big studio?
They got the-
Daly was going to give it to them, and then they...
Yeah, no, that was Daily, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they
Galeotto's.
stopped it.
That was Galeotto's.
Right.
They got that turned it, then all of a sudden, they had the party and everything.
Mhm.
And they never
Exactly
got,
right.
and then they stopped. I know the whole story, but that's another segment, Joe.
But
Yeah.
that's the newspapers really hit on it.
Yeah, they got a bad rap.
Let's go back to Mike. Mike,
Are you done
what,
sleeping, Mike?
No, I'm not sleeping, I'm just being silent.
Yeah.
That's what he's taught to do his whole life.
Michael, you got up when we were talking about the demo cars involved with the Spilatro fiasco. But you don't want to go into that, do you?
It's in the book.
It's his family secrets.
Let Frank Calabrese talk about that, that's none of
Oh, that's what you missed. When you were gone, they were talking about how much they love Frank Calabrese Jr.,
I love
Joe Celozzi, and
Yeah.
Frank.
Frank's
that's a
great guy.
that Joe and I have, because...
He's a great guy.
What are your thoughts on that, Michael?
Well, my thoughts on that is, how do you keep on your father?
I don't know him that way. I'm talking about as far as the relationship back at the dealership. He sold cars for me. That's all I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Well, if
I've
I was
seen
to
him
form
in 20 years.
an opinion about him as far as how he dealt with me, I would say he's the greatest guy in the world,
Okay.
because he never did anything wrong to
And
me.
you know what? That's his rep.
But
Anybody
you know,
that
when
knows
he
him...
goes about
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not
doing
saying
these
that.
things,
You're right.
Wait,
exactly.
we've got two conversations
I'm
going,
sorry.
guys. Michael, you had the floor.
I'm saying that as far as like what he's done to me, he's done nothing to me, and he was a fine guy. He was okay with me, but when a guy that I find out now, obviously I will weigh out the information. Is it true? Is it false? What is the real deal? If he did what I think is true, then how could I ever like the guy? I would have to say he's the biggest creep in the whole world. To your father, to anybody. Forget about his dad. That just makes it 10 times more horrific than the obvious to do that to anybody, to a partner, to a friend.
What did Dad do to him?
Well,
So,
see,
so
Michael
what?
still lives by the Cosa Nostra rules.
Really?
Well, he's
No,
a made guy.
But I don't necessarily...
1989.
I don't necessarily think you have to be a gangster to appreciate a father and son relationship.
Well,
Yeah,
I think that
that's
you would have
Yeah.
you would have to be subnormal if you couldn't understand.
We've all butt
the fact
heads
that-
with our fathers.
Absolutely.
And-
Tell me about it.
And
Here's
Tony,
the guy,
Tony,
Tony, if you don't mind
you
me,
butt
may I
heads
say-
with your father.
You
Would
butt heads with your
would
dad,
you
but
ta-
you still love your dad.
I love him unconditionally.
would you take the stand in a federal courtroom
Absolutely. He
and
would defend his
testify
father.
and put your father in prison?
Never.
Would you ever do that? I didn't.
I'm sorry, I answered
Wait,
before
yeah,
he...
but
No,
let's-
I would
How
never
about you?
do that.
Excuse
And he
me,
never
wait,
does anything illegal.
excuse me,
He might
gentlemen.
by the book.
What's your answer, Tony, to my question?
Never would I ever take a stand
Yeah.
against my father, and he's never done
Yeah.
anything wrong in his life.
Mhm.
Now,
He's
could
a
I-
solid man. He pays his taxes.
Okay.
He's solid.
Now, my father believed in corporal punishment. I caught beatings from my father.
So
did I.
yeah.
Okay?
So
I
did
would
I, yeah.
never, ever put my father in prison. The only way I would do it is if I were sodomized by a man, like a dad or an uncle. Then I could say, let's put the guy in prison. But a beating,
Yeah, right.
never,
It's,
never in a
Get the
million years.
spanking,
Yeah.
get the beating.
Can I intervene here? But
Sure.
the Godfather, right?
Yeah.
All right, the Corleone family, or whatever.
Right.
Didn't the guy have his own brother shot? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of weird.
Yep.
I don't know how things went, but it's right now. I think that whole area is a dying breed. To be honest with you, there's history there that needs to be always remembered.
Yeah.
Tony, can I explain to you why in a movie?
It is.
I'm
Yeah,
explaining
it's Hollywood.
a movie.
It's Hollywood.
It's Hollywood.
But it happens.
The
It
reason
happens.
why that was portrayed that way, it's to show the strength
Right.
of what you are a part of.
The organization.
Rules are rules. Even if it's your brother, if he goes against the rules and he double deals behind your back, he does this thing. Do you remember what did he say to Al? That was his Luca Brasi. He said to Al Neri, he said, nothing happens to him while my mother's alive. And he made it nice with him. He was going out on fishing trips with his son and doing that, and one day they just said,
Michael, that's a movie. But in true life, wait, real fast. In true life,
it's a true story.
exactly, because of a best friend,
it's-
you don't kill you.
They were trying to.
it's the truth that's
Right.
true life too.
It is, absolutely.
So, what do they say? They say that, Hollywood imitates
Real
reality.
truth, right.
Yeah, but I don't think a bond between brothers is the same as a bond
That's
between
true.
a father and son.
That's
It's
true.
two different relationships.
Yeah, I don't believe that either.
That's-
I don't
Yeah.
think that could ever, I don't think that,
You hear-
that Vito Corleone, if he double-dealed, if Fredo double-dealed his brother Michael, which he did, I think that Vito Corleone would say, hands off, just give him some stupid,
Yeah.
You know what's
stupid
amazing
shot.
here
But
today?
you know what he would do?
Hmm.
The minute that he was dead in the casket, Michael would do what he did. Because how does he rule over his guys? Like, there's exceptions only for me because I'm the boss. He has to do that. I mean, if all being said true, if all, which it was all true. That
Johnny didn't do it. Johnny sent his brother away.
Yeah, your family housed Joey DeFranco
right.
when he was on the lam
He was
for that
on
narcotics
the lam
case.
because they wanted him killed.
And in the meantime, his brother Johnny is tiptoeing or tap dancing rather around his boss Sam Carlisi at the time,
right.
saying, I agree with you, Sam. You want to knock him down? Let's do
these
it.
were the rules for starting to
But then
fall apart.
he's excusing himself from the meeting and calling your dad. And did you hide him out yet? And,
Yeah,
His father, Joe, in case you guys don't know, his uncle.
I know his cousin worked
No,
for him.
his uncle was locked up my father back in what?
Coconati, Joe Coconati.
In the 40s?
Yeah, but he's
early
talking about his
50s,
uncle.
Early
Skeets.
50s?
Yeah, Skeets Coconut.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Jasper,
I know
right?
his cousin,
Jasper.
Joe.
Yeah.
Jasper was his name. Jasper.
Skizix.
Skeezix.
Was his name.
But Jasper was
But Jasper was another one that worked
I'm
with
the only
Joe.
non-Italian guy here.
Yeah, I get it.
Everybody thinks Portillo's Italian.
Always.
Well,
Oh,
well,
that's
Just
right.
keep on buying Italian beef, and we'll be in good shape.
Our
Yeah, right.
our
Hey,
tech
Tony, can
consultant's
we go-
not Italian.
First of all, I'm gonna give a little shout out to my girl's son, and he'll love it. He'll hear it. This man here got him a job. He made a phone call like that. He started work like a day later, 2 days later. And
Tony
he's been
got to
doing-
do a job.
At Portillo's.
Tina's son,
Vince.
Vincent.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
he's been working there, he's getting more
Are you
hours.
muscling him
That's a good
10%
job.
for it?
No,
I'm surprised for getting a job.
50%, he gets 50%, what did they get? They get 50% off on the...
No, I'm
Yeah,
talking about
no,
you.
No, yeah, he's.
I'm talking about you. Are you probably taking 10% of his check?
Don't
He probably
put that
goes
to
in
me.
there
Yeah, right.
He
He doesn't do nothing for nothing, this guy. Believe
I
me.
did nothing but make a phone call.
I love you and everything, but you don't do... Okay.
You made a phone
I
call?
did nothing but made a phone call, and
Made a phone call, got him in like that.
But the thing is, and I was real skeptical, but much like my brother here,
Mm-hmm.
and such as Joe, and I, because I've been, had so many times, there are people who I get jobs for, and then next thing you know, they're stealing or this or that, so I typically don't want to even go there, but for this man, I'd do anything, and he gave me his word. I said, just no tardiness, be on time.
He's a good kid.
He's a
though.
good
Yeah.
kid.
He plays
He's doing
football.
good.
Don't he play
He's doing
football?
He loves. I told him, don't you screw up.
Yeah.
I says, that's my pal. That's my brother. That's
Yeah.
Tony. Like you guys are. I consider you guys brothers.
He listens
I wouldn't
to
be
you.
sitting there doing this.
Right.
If I didn't
Well,
feel that way.
how about, would Petey DeFranco take good care of you guys if you needed a job over there?
Yeah.
Why do you got to go?
You know, Joe, you know what I did for DeFranza, Johnny?
What?
I was singing at Spavone's 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And,
Elvis,
and
right?
DeFranza was there with his sister at a birthday party.
Tony.
I never met him. He walks up to me after I do an Elvis song. He said, I'm friends with your dad, Nicky. Franz and my father grew up together in the
Right.
neighborhood. He said, could you sing an Elvis song? I think it was either sister or whatever. She was an older lady. And I said, sure, John. I went up, Tony Spavone gave me the mic, and I did Elvis for him.
You did an Elvis.
He said, tell your dad I said hello.
When was this? About how long?
90s. 90s. I used to sing,
Mike-
it's Spavone.
Michael-
Mike, pay attention.
Spavone
Mike.
used to
Mike,
hang at the-
excuse us, we've got more than one conversation going on now.
Yeah. I think
Michael, did Johnny DeFranco has a sister?
Yes.
Oh, he does. I knew that he had like 4 brothers or something.
No,
I
he's
didn't-
a sister.
That's the one I sing
Joe
Elvis.
sang,
Elvis, it's Spavone.
It's Spavone.
I never met the guy.
Spavone.
Never met him. He came up to me, he says, I'm friends with Nicky. When they call my dad Nicky, that means they're close.
He knows his father from the car business.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
sure.
from the streets.
Well,
He grew up
With
mostly
Tony
from the car
Spilatro,
business.
for Tony Spilatro, Joey Borsellino's dad, and that's from the area. From they were 16, that's where they grew up, from that area.
Grand Avenue?
Yeah, Kenzie and Lexington.
Really?
My dad grew up there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, Johnny grew up on Grand Avenue, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, but
That's the same name, but that's they call it
Figurata,
the Chicago
Johnny
Avenue.
Figurata, Bobby said my dad's wedding.
Is that right?
Yeah.
My dad grew up on Mohawk Street in Chicago Green, Mother Cabrini Green Housing Project.
Really?
Is that right, Tony?
Yeah.
Johnny
He grew
killed
up very poor.
his wife's, his sister's husband or boyfriend. He kept beating her, and he said, next time you hit my sister, I'm going to kill you. He came over and shot him, killed him.
Who did?
Figurata.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby?
Johnny.
Oh, Big John?
Somebody was beating one of the somebody was beating one of the sisters or whatever.
Yeah.
My dad told me this story, and he said next time. Well, he came over to the house and shot him, killed him. Oh yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Celozzi, that you were plugged for that piece of information.
Well, you know what, Joseph,
He's dead anyway.
We've had
They're both dead.
Right.
This was a great show. Are you kidding me?
Is it? Do you think so, Mike?
Yeah, I think it was wonderful. What we'll do is you will conclude. Go ahead.
Yeah, one question someone was dying to ask Tony. I think it's okay. I don't think you'll mind. How many and where was the first store your family started with in hot dog stands?
In Villa Park in 1963,
Uh-huh.
and I forget the address, but it's just where my dad had his trailer, and he had 4 like.
Like Big R.
Right by the Big R, right. Of course, I
North
was not
Avenue,
even a thought that.
And that's, I think that's
Yeah.
not our.
Okay, so
Main
so
Street.
now
North
63.
Avenue.
Now here we are 50 years later. How many hot dog stands does he have today?
Well, I want to make something clear here. We just don't sell hot dogs.
Yeah,
I believe it's really about
We got chopped
Tony
chicken
will tell you,
salad.
Tony will tell you the story. I used to call him up. I would call him up and say, you know what, because I lived in Bloomingdale at the time, and I would go, because I wanted to watch the football games, and I get there, they open up at 11 o'clock, and they have the beef and cheddar croissant, which is to die for. It's the best. I don't know if you've ever had it, the
No.
beef and cheddar croissant. I mean, your mouth melts when you get it. And I'd sit there, and I had my paper, and I'd be reading it, and the girl would come out. I'd be there 10 to 11, because I wanted to be the first in line, because the line would be filling
Right
up
out
by
the door.
11 o'clock. And I go, "Excuse, sir, we're not open until 11 o'clock. I know, don't worry about it. And I'm flipping through my paper, no big, but sir, it's going to be another 12, 13 minutes. No big deal, sweetheart. I just want to be here first. Well, what do you want? I want a beef and cheddar croissant, 2 orders of fries, actually make it 3 beef and
Right.
cheddar croissants, and 4 orders of fries, with cheese, what's the cheese, the little...
Cheesy fries?
The cheesy fries.
Oh boy.
The cheesy fries. everything that closes up the arteries.
Your heart must be in great shape.
Right. And give me 4 Diet Cokes. And that'll be it.
Why diet?
You're right. I got the nerve to order a Diet Coke. And I would sit there and say, And she would say, well, you
You
know
made
what,
it
it's
healthy.
not gonna be ready till 11:10, and I'd be there at 10:11. No big deal. I'm reading the paper.
It had to be Erica, was her name, the little lady. Older lady.
The
She's been
little
with us
lady.
for.
He knows
But
everything.
now that you've corrected me, Tony, you sell more than just hot dogs. How many stores do you have today?
Well, again, I have not worked for Dad for 20 something.
38.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
38 stores.
20. No, it's more than 30. It's
43?
It's 50 now.
Keep it all over
Honey
the
Jam
place.
Cafes.
Well, 3 Honey Jam Cafes.
I'm talking about just Portillo's. It's 43. You got the
No,
Honey
I don't know. I really don't know. You know, I don't work
Opened
for
in
them.
Arizona. There's
Right.
people
Yeah, no, we
talking about
opened
it.
one in Arizona.
Yeah.
We're opening up another one in Tempe. The first one I believe was in Scottsdale, and it was.
He's got a
They
California.
had people. Yeah, 2 in California.
Indiana.
In Indiana, and then there's quite a few of them.
Good.
Like I said, I was an SOB son of boss. It's very difficult to work for
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I'm
absolutely.
sure.
brother, and I kind of went
Absolutely.
in my own, and you know,
He's the best.
we kind of butt heads, I think, because we're just alike,
Yeah.
and
The way it happens
you know,
sometimes.
and then I've had a rough year. I got married 2 years and like 2 months ago, and half of that time I was in coma, seizures, and strokes. My wife delivered me when I was up in the ICU unit, which I just got out again last week, or 2 weeks ago. My wife delivered me up Portillo's. Like I never had that home cooked meal before.
Right.
And she never came up and seen her husband. I came home and she cleared out the whole house, everything.
Wow.
You know
My
what
dog,
I wonder.
Wow.
Why is it that we are not allowed the opportunity to file a lawsuit? I'm not talking about a divorce, but a breach of contract, a breach of agreement with the wedding vows, for better or worse.
From death to us part.
Right. Well,
And
now
through health
why-
and or sickness.
okay, that obviously doesn't mean anything.
It does not apply. I've
Why
said
is
through
it
100
even
times.
said then?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a very
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, to me,
Right.
it's an oral
She
contract.
calls
you know?
herself a Christian, and I love her to death. She's a great lady. She's hard-headed. She's German and Sicilian. It's like Mussolini, Hitler, in the same bed. Okay? She's tough. I love her, and I will always love her. She is an amazing lady,
Yeah.
but I put her through some hard times because I had some difficult times. But, you know, through health and her sickness, to death to us part, she didn't even hang in there.
Yeah.
Which, you know, and I don't blame her, you know, but can't just come around when you
Well, I do
might.
blame her. I don't blame her because I don't think she's a horrible person. I do blame her for the fact that
Well, she went about
he's
it.
such a good guy, and he cares about her, and he's done everything in the world that it's possibly needed to do for somebody, and it just doesn't seem like that's enough. And
She
my
sounds like
mind,
a selfish woman.
well, I don't want to say. I'm not going to say that about her. I won't.
She was
say
the best. I mean, the very best.
She's a wonderful girl. I won't say that about her.
Can't believe
I
it
just
that
don't
much, yeah.
believe that she could
Well-
have all this.
Well, thanks
you know,
for clarifying it. I was
Yeah,
wrong
she's
then when
not-
I said
she's-
selfish.
no,
I
no,
apologize
She's
if
not
it's
that person.
offending
I
anyone.
just don't understand why she is that way with him.
Mhm.
Because he does everything in the world to make it nicey, you know. And like we all do with our
Well,
girls.
Michael, let me stop you here. If we're going to do a show on how to get Tony back with his wife, let's leave that for the
Yeah,
next
right.
year.
No, you're right. Don't. Joe, are you saying? Wait a minute. Hold it, Tony. Are you saying that Michael Magnafichi is not the guy to be counseling anybody
On-
out
on marriage- not on
with
marital
their-
issues.
Yeah, on marital issues. You know what?
Especially
That
when your
is
wife
the
was doing
only
the mailman.
factual thing. My wife was shot by a mailman, and you're going to tell me that I'm not the guy that can tell? You're absolutely right. I am not that guy.
All right. This was a lot of fun,
You know what?
guys.
He's right.
Good
I
job.
am not the guy to counsel
Mike,
anybody.
if Priscilla could leave Elvis Presley, then you know what, buddy?
Got no chance.
There's no chance. Any man in the world. You leave the king.
Joe, you leave the
I don't
king.
care what you say.
Joe Celozzi just came up with the most profound.
That is a
If
good
leave
thing.
Elvis
Presley, the king.
Presley-
She still loved him.
If
though.
Priscilla Presley leaves Elvis Presley,
Princess died,
what
left the
fuck?
prince.
Right.
The
Yeah.
Prince of
Princess
England.
died. I mean, you leave that.
Then there's
What
no.
the hell?
There's no.
What chance any of us
Michael
have, right?
Magnifici knows how to tell Tony Portillo how to deal with his.
All right.
When my wife got shot in the head by her boyfriend. Yeah,
Well,
I got
I'm
some good
stepping away from the conversation. Everyone is having a good time talking. I'm pulling away just to say thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll be back next week, sometime probably. What is it? We'll let you know in the written portion of the segment when we think we'll be back next week. Again, as I've said in the past, this is sort of like a test stage for this segment, and we're just we're taking it one day at a time with the show right now. I'm sorry that we can't be a little more professional about it, but we're doing the best we can right now with the piece. Thank you.